How's it going, everyone? My name is Daniel Vasquez. I'm going to my 4th year here at Cal State Fullerton as a history major. Some of my interests outside of the classroom are, for one thing, my campus involvements. I'm a part of Sigma Pi fraternity. As you can see my letters right here. I'm really proud to be part of this organization, to be a refounding father as well as still serving the executive council. I also held other positions on campus, especially serving as an orientation leader my sophomore year of college, in which I guided plenty of diverse students, thousands in the numbers, to Cal State Fullerton. So that was something I really took pride in as well, and also something that really inspired me to go into teaching. So as far as teaching goes, I want to be a history teacher. I'm currently taking prereqs right now to get into the credential program at Cal State Fullerton. And the biggest reason why I want to go into teaching is to really pay it forward from the knowledge that my mentors and past teachers and professors have brought toward my way. And really, I just want to teach to inspire and lead the next generation, essentially, to really develop them into the leaders that I want to see in the real world as well, that I want to become as well. In that case, that's just why I'm really excited to doing it. And of course, this course in general is really going to open up all those tools that I need to really pass on to the next generation. So as far as ethnic identification goes, whenever people ask me, I tell them I'm a pie chart, and I'll get to that right now. Basically, I identify with more than just one or two ethnicities. On my dad's side, I'm actually Swedish and Mexican. On my mom's side, I have relatives all around Europe. You know, Spain, some from South America, and the Basque Country, Ireland, you name it. So in that case, that's what I'm really proud of. When people ask me, it's a big thing to me. Of course, though, it doesn't really matter. Not that it doesn't matter to me, but of course, let's say if I'm going for a job interview, it's not something that I'll bring up right away. You know, at those times, I'll probably stay more neutral, as a matter of fact. One of the biggest things, though, when it came to revealing those identities was when I was in middle school. I actually went to a school and high school with mostly Asian crowd, and so I really stood out. I was more of a minority in that sense, and so I'd almost feel embarrassed to tell them, hey, I'm Mexican, I have European blood in me. But now, of course, I've really come to embrace it, learning from all this history and the heritage of where I come from, getting stories from my grandparents. It's really enriching and really refreshing in a way. And so it's definitely something that I really take pride in and that I want to keep passing on and learning more about. So yes, it was more of a struggle back then, but now I've completely embraced it and who I am, and I really take pride in every ethnicity that I identify myself in. So as far as the quick write that we did in class, when I was asked to define multicultural education, I basically defined it as offering a sound education to all students, making sure everyone had equal access to everything, resources, and tending to those with diverse backgrounds to acquire justice, equality, patience, and leadership for all students in the classroom. And actually what's funny too is that after reading and watching the videos that I was supposed to do, it actually seemed like my ideals really lined up with the authors of those publications, of those videos as well. So again too, it was really just adding on and seeing what I had with all these as well. So with having those views of mine in mind, that's when I dove into the other readings of the PDFs, the book, and watching the video as well. So looking into chapter 2, Affirming Diversity, they define multicultural education as the process of comprehensive school reform promoting democratic principles of social justice, especially with a huge emphasis on anti-racism. So again, this is what forces teachers to, rather than abandoning the concept of talking about racism, to really talk about it. In fact, there was something in the book that stated that most teachers are in actual denial of the effect that racism has on students in school, which is something that can't be avoided either, because you know racism is a really big issue, especially as a history major. When it comes to a lot of the stuff in history that we talk about, it really focuses on how history is written by the victor. You know, we don't look at things in different perspectives. For example, Abraham Lincoln, even though, yes, he may have been seen as the one who ended the Civil War, he was also brought up as Lincoln the Emancipator. You know, this man of huge power. How John Brown in the Civil War was viewed as a crazy idealist rather than a hero to some people. So you really have to look at things in both angles, both perspectives, to get a more perceived view and develop that perspective. And really They really define multicultural education in this chapter as inclusive education. We need to know about everything, even especially women's history, which you don't see written in the books a whole lot. So we really just have to tackle things in every perspective rather than just looking through the victor's point of view. All of this. Even from Michelle Fine's perspective, and for history in many schools, they avoid teaching certain parts or view of history, which is titled fear of naming. So again, we just have to get past all of this and really look at everything. In the video, Race, Power of an Illusion, you remember how all those students were first put in a lab, and first they said, we identify much differently from others, different races, different skin tone, but later on they found out that really they weren't all that different from each other. Their skin tone was actually rather similar, really clear. In that video, they were looking at how different races at that time are much different. They make that genetic mark. But really, they found out that it was more of a fictional appeal than an actual biological appeal. How they were looking how blacks are more faster in track than whites, but it had nothing to do with a different genetic buildup or anything. Really, there's no justification. As Jim Brown, former NFL star, stated, race has changed its definition in this country to the benefit of those who want to define it differently. So again, rather than focus on the truth, talent, they're focusing on race, which is rather just no genetic mark and rather than an excuse. Then lastly, in the two PDFs, they talk about multicultural education dedicated to student learning, which is accompanied by social justice and access to resource. And also about being nice to people is not always the way out. You still have to set up high expectations and treat everyone equally. So in my final standing, I still stand to what I thought, really similar to my views of social justice and equal access to education. And just because you're a nice teacher doesn't mean you should be too lenient. You have to treat everyone the same and give everyone equal access